Hello and welcome back to Level Up with Emma. I'm so glad to have you back with me. And guess what? This week, it's my birthday week. Yes, it is. I am 32 years old. And you know what? So far, the 30s have lived up to my expectations, or to what other people have told me my 30s will be like. They really have been some fantastic years. So I'm really excited. I'm not rushing to get through them, but I'm really excited to see where my 30s are going to take me. So I have some really exciting things planned this week, but I'm going to share what I do with you on next week's episode. I want to do a whole episode on it, because it is relevant to the content that I'm talking about, relevant to being open to opportunities, challenging yourself, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to leave it there because I want to talk about it next week. Okay, so let's get into this episode. Now, this week, I want to do a bit of a follow-on from what I was speaking about last week about self-doubt and how this can cause a barrier when it comes to taking action on certain goals that you may have for yourself, and how it can create a bit of a blockage. And just to continue on from that with another angle on, let's call, progress barriers or progress blockers, is I want to discuss inner conflict. Now, you may or may not have heard this term before, but what you will have recognized in yourself is indecisiveness. Because I'm pretty sure we've all had a moment of indecisiveness. And there's varying degrees to this. It could be that you just struggle to choose something from a menu. You know, it takes, 5 minutes longer than it should, and everyone else has already ordered and they're impatiently watching you as you struggle to decide what you want to eat. Or it could be that you are undecided on a bigger decision, for example, whether to say yes or not to your partner who just asked you to marry them. Now, quite an extreme variation there, I do realise. But either way, indecisiveness, it shows up in our lives at some point on varying levels. We will experience it in mild scenarios and we will experience it in quite extreme scenarios. So I want to talk about this because this indecisiveness all stems back to your inner conflict. So what is inner conflict? This is when you want to do something, okay? In your head and in your heart, you want to do something. But at some point along your life journey, you have learned that this thing that you want to do is not okay, that it's bad or it's scary or it's too risky. So you're left with this conflict. You want to do something, you've learned that it's not good to do it or not beneficial to do it. And so this inner conflict here of two kind of heads fighting one another, this leads us to that indecisiveness. Okay, so if we think about the menu, for example, you really want to go ahead and eat the 4-cheese pizza because you're really craving that oozy, cheesy goodness, yeah? But something in your life has led you to believe that 4-cheese pizza is going to be detrimental to your health and cause you some severe health risks. And so you're not too sure if you should have it or not. Or perhaps you get to the end of your main meal and it's that awkward question. I say awkward because it always seems to be that people get awkward at this point, right? When the waiter or waitress comes over and says, would you like to see the dessert menu? Everyone just kind of freezes and stares at one another and waits for someone else to say and respond first. I know this has happened to other people, not just me, I'm sure of it. And then again, it's another kind of example of you want to have a dessert. but there's something stopping you from saying yes or making that decision, and so therefore waiting for someone else to make the decision for you, because you've learned that dessert is not good for you, that it's bad, that it's going to have some potential risks that come with it. And so you don't want to make that decision, so you try and wait for someone else to make that decision. And when they do, it's like a huge wave of relief. You know, when someone else says, oh, it's okay, no, we don't want to see the menu, or yeah, okay, let's have a little look at the menu. Shall we have dessert? Let's have dessert. You know, it's that relief off of your shoulders. If we look at the proposal scenario, this could go a bit interesting, but, you know, perhaps you've been with your partner for a long time, and here comes the day that your partner has proposed to you and asked them to marry you. And now for most people, this decision is quite a quick one because it can get very awkward very quickly if you are trapped with indecisiveness whilst your partner is holding a ring up to your face and desperately waiting for an answer, which is why some people can make the wrong decision at this point. But that's another story for another time. You know, perhaps there is a little bit of indecisiveness from this because your heart wants to say yes. Your heart wants to be with your partner forever because you hold so much love for them. But again, somewhere along your journey in life, you have learned that marriage is a risky commitment, that there's the potential for divorce, and divorce can be an extremely overwhelming experience to go through, that you're not 100% sure about commitment because when you're tied into something, it feels like there's like that lack of control. So again, it's this inner conflict, you know, your heart's saying one thing, but then your thoughts are saying something else, and you're stuck here in this moment. And that leads to indecisiveness, not being able to make a decision. And this indecisiveness can, again, depending on the situation, the scenario, it can lead to procrastination. Now, when you're faced with a proposal, or when you're sat in a restaurant making a choice about what you're going to eat, you don't have much time for procrastination. There needs to be quite a quick response. So you make a decision, and it's not always the best decision, but you make a decision. Whereas if we think of indecisiveness, let's say within a work environment, so you want to leave your job, your heart's saying that you want to leave your job, but something's telling you that it's bad, it's risky, it's scary because, you know, you don't know where you're going to get your income from, you don't know if you'll get another job. And so that leads to indecisiveness, and then that can lead to procrastination. This is where you spend so long thinking about your decision that the decision making takes even longer. You stay indecisive. You're thinking too much about it. You're constantly thinking about this decision, and you don't take action. And then, of course, this procrastination, this can result in a lack of progress. You don't go anywhere. So for someone who may feel a bit stuck in their life right now, for example, like they're not making much progress, they're not going anywhere, they're just, you know, rolling each day as it comes. They get up, they go to work, they come home, they sleep, they get up, they go to work, blah, blah, blah. If we reverse this and look at the journey that's led that person to being stuck in this position for so long, it's going to look a little bit like what we've just spoken about, but backwards. Procrastination, which has come from indecisiveness, which has come from a conflict of internal interests. Now, if we want to get really into this inner conflict and understand why we are having this inner conflict, like I mentioned before, it usually stems from a learning experience in your lifetime that has led you to have this belief. And, you know, this is what can also sometimes be our limiting beliefs that we hold. Ideas that have been validated over time, okay? So the 4 cheese pizza being an extremely risky choice for our health, you know, perhaps this was an idea and then it was validated from your friend saying about cheese being bad, or a nutritionist or a dietitian on some TV show saying that it was bad, or whatever it might be. Your idea that you had about it has been validated. It's become a belief of yours. And throughout your life, perhaps you've had experiences that have reconfirmed this belief, and have added to it and continue to validate it. And so it's really going back to, what is that belief that is causing this inner conflict? And where did that belief come from originally? What was the initial belief that you had? And I would like to invite you to spend some time exploring where those initial beliefs come from. Because if you can do that, whatever it may be that you think is potentially causing this progress barrier, if you can figure out where that came from, and we could be talking years down the line. I guess it really depends on how good your memory is. But often when we really start doing the digging, we can find it out. Figure out where that came from. And then with the current experience that you have from life, and the knowledge that you now have, being a bit older, going through more experiences, learning more, review that initial belief and decide if that's still true to you. If this belief still holds the same meaning that it did when you initially had it. And it's really important that we review these beliefs, because we need to know where they sit with us now. We need to understand whether or not we can change our approach by learning where this belief came from. And how are you going to apply it going forward in order to create change? Because, as I've said many times before, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And are you okay carrying this belief that is causing a barrier to your progress forward into your future? If not, then this is where we need to start looking at that belief and reviewing it and analysing it with our newfound knowledge and our more experienced learnings of life. So if we were to put this into action, if you're feeling a bit stuck somewhere right now in life, or you feel like you're lacking in progress, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's within work, whether that's within a specific life goal, whatever it might be, I want you to write that down. And then I want you to identify whether or not you've been procrastinating on making a decision on this. How long you have potentially been waiting to make a decision on this. And then I want you to write down the connecting belief that you believe is stopping you from making a decision. And once you have that belief, I invite you to spend some time trying to go back and find out where the initial belief came from. So just try and dig into your memory box and see if you can find the most recent time that this belief came up for you, or that this belief was validated for you. For example, let's go back to this 4-cheese pizza. If we were to look at the most recent validation, perhaps it was a TV show that you watched last week all about healthy diets and nutrition for the new year. And someone on this program spoke about how pizzas are very bad for us, that they cause potential health risks and that we shouldn't eat them. Okay. Now, once you have that one, I would invite you to go back even further. Has there been another experience that validates this belief that you have? And the idea is to keep going back and going back as far as you can. Like I say, it's going to test your memory here. Go back as far as you can and see what the most earliest memory that you have validating this belief. And once you think you've gone as far back as you possibly can, I want you to bring yourself back into the present moment, and I want you to analyze this belief based on the life experiences that you have had since that initial belief? What have you learned? What have you gone through? How you've grown and developed through life, and apply it to that belief. Does that belief still stand strong, or has it changed? And this is really important because moving forward in life, if we want to change things, if we want to progress and we want to break through these barriers and these blockages, then we need to figure out what it is that's actually blocking us and break that blockage down so that we can move forward and progress into the future without carrying this belief with us. And that's really how you unlock progress when you're feeling stuck. So, as I said, a conflict of internal interests leads to indecisiveness, which leads to procrastination, which leads to a lack of progress. So we have to go back to the start and we have to figure out why we are having a conflict of internal interest, why our heart is different from what our head is saying. Once you've done that, you'll be able to unlock some really fantastic progress. Honestly, I can assure you, but you have to do the work. You really do. And I would block out some time for this. I really would, because it's not easy trying to dig into your memory box and find out, where all of these beliefs have come from, because some of these may stem all the way back to your younger years of, 5 or 6 years old for some of us. So it's going to take some doing to really dig into our memory box. But if you want to do the work and you want to make the progress and you want to start making that change in your life, then this is the kind of work that needs to be done. Like I always say, we really can control our future and our progress and our life. We are in control of what we do, what we say, how we live, all of it. But at some point we've become automated and we have just kind of rolled with the punches and adapted to our surroundings and the beliefs that surround us, the beliefs that come from others. So we really have to do the groundwork here, and we have to make an effort to be able to change that, because, there's no point in listening to this podcast today and hearing about how you can move forward and how you can progress and how you can become unstuck, but then not doing anything about it, procrastinating on it, let's say, right? So, I'm really speaking to those of you out there who are truly ready to change and who are truly ready to do the work in order to start creating the life that you want to live. You have to be ready to do it. Your desire to change has to be greater than the desire to stay the same. This is really important. Otherwise, you're never going to put the work in, you're never going to make the effort, and you will just stay in auto and continue just to be controlled, And another way of saying this is asking yourself, are you human being or are you human doing? Are you just doing? Are you just in automation and just doing stuff? Or are you being? Are you present? Are you mindful? Are you aware of everything that you're doing? So have a go at this activity and let's just try and figure out what it is that you believe that you are lacking progress in. What is that big change that you're really hoping to make this year? And what do you need to do in order to make that change? Or what is your head working against? As soon as we have alignment in what we think and what we say and what we do, this is when we start living our life to the fullest. This is when we start to feel truly satisfied and fulfilled, when we're in alignment. And once we learn how to do this, we don't really unlearn it. It becomes part of our habits, because there will always be other experiences going forward where you may find yourself in a similar position where you feel stuck again for some other reason. But once you learn the basics now of how to get through that, this can just be reapplied over and over again as and when needed, so that you never have to feel stuck for too long. It's really about empowering yourself to be able to have that control of your life. That's what self-empowerment is. It's having responsibility for your life. So have a go at this activity, and of course reach out to me if you have any questions about this. If you're struggling to really ask those questions and dig deep into your past memories, please do feel free to reach out to me. That's what I do. It's what I help my clients with. We go through a process of looking through and asking the right questions. Sometimes we need a little nudge to get deeper into those memories, and of course that is what I am totally happy to help with. But like I say, make sure that you block out that time. Sometimes people find it better to close their eyes when they do this, just to shut everything off around them, get really into the moment, and just allow yourself to be patient, because it will take as long as it needs to take. For some people, this may take 20 minutes. For some people, this may take 1 to 2 hours. It really is dependent on how much focus you can have and how much patience you have with yourself to do this as well. That really is key. But like I say, if you can figure this out, then it's going to be absolutely key to your satisfaction and fulfillment in life going forward and making that progress that you really want to make. Okay, well, thank you for listening. As I said, it is my birthday week, so I will update you, I'm sure, next week on all the going-ons that are happening this week, although I am planning on just keeping it a pretty chilled one for now. When I was younger, it would be all about going on a night out on the town, drinking as much as I could, getting all glitz and glam, and I'd be happy with just a day chilling and doing nothing, and eating cake. That's always a bonus. So that's me. Once again, I just want to thank you so much for supporting me with this podcast. If you want to support me that little bit more, leaving a review on these podcasts really does make it go a long way, because not only does it bump up the podcast so that other people can see it, it brings more awareness to it so I can help more people. It also helps me to go up in the rankings as well. So it really does mean a lot to me. Plus, I absolutely love hearing your feedback on these podcasts, be it positive or negative, whatever it is. I enjoy the feedback. So I really do love your support and hope that you can leave me some feedback or drop me an email at Em.Powercoaching@gmail.com. Also, if you didn't know, I do have an Instagram account and a Facebook account, and I'm very active on these accounts with putting out loads of more tips and just connecting with my audience over there as well. This is where we have a lot of fun. But I also share a lot more valuable content as well over there, videos, pictures. I go live on my Facebook. So please do come and connect with me. My Instagram is Em.Powercoaching and my Facebook page is Em.Powercoaching UK. But of course, all of these links will be in the comments part of this podcast. So just hop on down, check it out, and then come over and say hello. All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.